This business of India being called the most dangerous place for women on earth, this was a canard started by the Reuters Foundation, and they claim to have conducted what they called a perception poll. Mind you, not an opinion poll, not conducting any survey, not doing any field research, but you talk to people and take their perceptions. And we have always experienced that there is a strong anti-India lobby in the West. They are interested in running down the country's image in whatever form, in whatever manner they can. So, I mean, they just gave their perceptions, which I think was absolutely absurd. I mean, in the present times, when everything is research based, evidence based, to be talking of perception and then coming to a conclusion, I think was the height of absurdity. And if you come to statistics, you see, whatever available statistics we have, not very updated statistics, but the statistics given out by the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. I mean, their statistics clearly bring out that the incidence of rape in Western countries are far, far more. For example, in US and France, it is 6 times more than in India. In Germany, it is 10 times more than India, and in Sweden, it is 30 times more than India. I mean, these are the statistics of a UN body, and then you come up with this astounding statement that India is the most unsafe country for women on earth. Yes, I mean, there are crimes taking place in India, no one is disputing that, and there is a lot that needs to be done to improve the situation on the ground. But to say that it's the unsafest place on earth for women, I think that is absurd, and it shows a mindset to denigrate the country, to run down the country. It's a canard, putting it very simply. You see, police role in harassment of women, it has a role, but up to an extent only. Where does harassment take place? Let us first understand that before you come to identifying the role of the police. The harassment takes place either within the family, because we know that a lot of incidents of rape which happen are by members of the family known to the girl. So, there is harassment within the family. There is hardly anything which the police can do in that kind of situation, because it is happening within the family. You can say the enlarged family, but it is happening within the family. Then it happens, say, within the school, within schools, colleges, educational institutions, it happens. There again, it is the responsibility of the college authorities, the school authorities, to ensure an atmosphere, some kind of monitoring, so that this kind of harassment does not happen. Police comes into play where such harassment takes place in a public place. There you can say that yes, here is the role of the police. Now, a lot of things police can do. I mean, places where there is information about such gundas, or as one state calls them, Romeos, sort of they assemble. Those people, those places can be could be identified. Those could be frequently patrolled, and people who are just loitering around, say girls, colleges or institutions, they need to be dispersed, they need to be questioned, they need to be told that no, you must leave this place. So, police patrolling and sort of police trying to prevent the occurrence of such incidents. Then in collaboration with the municipal authorities of a particular area, of a particular district, they should ensure that areas which are not properly lit, they are lit, because so many incidents happen in areas which are dark, and when a girl is passing through that area, that she is sort of grabbed and molested and things like that happen. So, I mean, ensure that proper lighting is done. Then in buses, and where we have had a number of bad incidents while a girl is traveling in bus, we have to ensure that a girl is not traveling alone, and some kind of instructions can be laid down that look, if you can't have a single girl or a woman passenger in the bus, and she must be accompanied, there must be some male passengers, then alone otherwise the kind of incident which happened with Nirbhaya, so that it's avoided. So I mean, there is a lot that police can do, but basically I would say, I mean, whenever you talk of crime against women and these things happening, we are not going into the generic causes. Why has this thing suddenly erupted, and why is there so much discussion and debate? Something is happening under the surface which we are not prepared to look at. We always see the obvious thing. What can the police do? What has the society done? You see, I mean, so many things are happening in the country. You see, I mean, the influence of the West, it is laudable in several respects. I mean, there is so much that we can learn from the West. But a lot of things which are coming from the West, for example, pornography. Now, pornography, I mean, as a young man, I had no access to pornography, but now a young man today or a young child today, he can, with the click of a button, he can see pornography. A few months back, I read there was a news item that Patna city had free Wi-Fi for everyone, and they said that everyone, I mean, lot many young men were just watching porn. Now, when you watch porn, what effect will that have on your mind? Now, here also there is a lot of different opinion by different groups of people, and I mean, I have found that if you want to defend something, you can always theorize. You can always theorize. But coming down to the practical side of it, I mean, once you are exposing young minds to this kind of literature, this kind of graphic scenes, it will definitely have an adverse effect, and it will manifest itself in some act of sexual violence. And Government of India is very chary about taking any action against pornography, because I mean, we have now today a class of people who, in the name of freedom of expression, defend everything. All right, if you defend everything, I mean, you set a house on fire and then say, call the police, and they say, oh, why didn't you not extinguish it? Why was the fire allowed to happen? But we are creating a situation where it's a very combustible atmosphere. Things are bound to go wrong in this kind of atmosphere. I mean, I have seen greater concern against pornography in China, even in USA. I mean, I remember President Bush having made a very strong statement again on the subject. So these countries are concerned, but we in India, we have been swept off our feet, and we are just swimming, we are prepared to swim in the dirty current. That's the trouble. So we are not going into the generic causes, unless we analyze, identify, and we are prepared to accept those fundamental reasons, the basic causes. We will continue to grapple with the situation. So I mean, we are not prepared to identify the root causes, but we want to tackle the symptoms. That is the whole problem. And this is, again, I am sure, I mean, a lot of people are not going to agree with me. They say, no, freedom of expression must be there, freedom to watch porn should be there. All right, karo, porn dekho aur uske baad ye sab bhugto. Then don't stop complaining. Stop complaining about these things. You see, as far as the workplace is concerned, I mean, there is an act on the subject. In 2013 it was passed, Sexual Harassment at Workplace Act, etc., which amplifies and takes forward the guidelines given by Supreme Court in the Vishaka case. Now, first we have to ensure whether those Supreme Court guidelines are being followed, they are being observed, whether they are being implemented in the offices or not. Wherever 10 plus people are working, those guidelines become operative, and every office is supposed to have an internal complaints committee to look into all such complaints of sexual harassment. Now, we have to find out whether such ICCs, as they call, internal, whether they are in existence, whether they have been constituted. Is there an officer designated to look into those complaints? And if not, why not? See, there has to be an internal mechanism. You can't go inside the office. Police can't go inside the office. If it starts going inside the offices and institutions, they will say, oh, police is becoming very intrusive. So, I mean, after all, there is we have to think of decentralized responsibility. Police can't be doing everything. If there is an institution, the institution should take care of the harassment aspect. If there is an office, the officer in charge of that office should ensure that an atmosphere prevails where sexual harassment does not take place, and if it does, the provision, the Visakha guidelines come into operation, an inquiry is instituted, and then after the inquiry, if the charges are found true, then action under the service rules as recommended by the committee should be taken. So, as I said, police has a role only in public places where such incidents happen, but where these incidents happen within the four walls of the family, within the four walls of a school or college or any other institution, within the four walls of an office, then the responsibility has to be taken by the principal, by the head of the office, by the head of the family. They have to ensure these things. Police role will come into play. Police will sort of step into the matter only taking cognizance of the offence and then sort of trying to bring the culprit to book. Indian police can and should be doing a lot more than what it is doing. I agree with it. The problem is nobody tries to understand the problems, the difficulties, the constraints under which police functions. That nobody tries to understand. You will not give funds for modernization. You will not have enough manpower. You will not have enough forensic laboratories. You will not have good communications. You will not have good transport. And you will not allow me to function in a manner where I could say that yes, I am free to enforce the rule of law. Every time there is somebody with a political clout or with a financial muscle with which he can bribe or influence people who matter, you find that police is hamstrung. Police is hamstrung, and there is inordinate amount of pressure that this MLA is to be saved, this Sadhu Baba is to be saved, etc., etc. Now, this is the kind of situation you are not allowing a kind of environment to prevail in which the police should autonomously be able to function impartially, objectively, with the commitment to enforce the rule of law. That's the trouble. That is why I have been talking about police reforms for the last more than 2 decades, but all my pleas have been falling on deaf ears. Not that some progress has not been made, thanks to the Supreme Court. There is some forward movement, but it's a very slow movement, and we need to sort of accelerate the pace of reforms. I would not say compulsory, but facilities for such self-defense training should be there. Facilities should be there, and those who are keen on it, they should be allowed to learn. There is no harm in it, but you can't make it compulsory. There are so many other things which should be made compulsory, about which we are not bothered. So why make this compulsory? But as I said, there should be such facility, and I find that a lot of I'm surprised. That girls are more keen on learning these karate and these other self-defense arts than our boys. This is my personal experience, because we have a small institution in Lucknow which we run, where we find there are more enthusiastic girls than boys. They are coming forward in very large numbers to learn karate. So as I said, the facility should be there.